Hello, everyone. I am John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives. That's our Friday live chat with Marcia. So let's go. All right, everybody, we're back. Marcia, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. You know, that 3 weeks of cold is finally gone, except for I still have a little bit of a little bit of congestion,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I feel good, and I'm glad you're over it too.
yeah. Well, she said with a froggy throat, "You're about a week behind me in terms of getting sick and then recovering. So it'll linger. I can tell you that."
Well, we were talking before the show about the irony of President Trump sending, two aircraft carrier battle groups, hundreds of land-based planes, and looking like he's getting ready to pull the
Trigger.
trigger. Thank you, on Iran, while at the same time he's convening the Board of Peace.
Right, right.
Um, and it's typical of the way that I think we get played. I don't. It's not just Trump. It's the entire government that will send us a signal, that something good's going to happen, but maybe it doesn't actually really happen. Meanwhile, something bad happened while we were hoping for something good.
Right.
Yeah.
Or something just very unexpected happens.
Yes. Well, we have open chat here on Friday, so especially on Rumble, but we can see you if you post on YouTube as well and Facebook. And if you're watching on Facebook, welcome. Thanks for joining our Facebook page, McDuff Lives. On X, you
Ooh.
can see us. Oh, Marcy's got a phone call.
Well, no, that was a text, but I didn't think to put my phone on airplane mode
Okay,
as we have been trying to remember to do.
I didn't do it either.
I know.
Okay.
Corky's here. Corky says, delicious dish come to mind when I hear smooth opening voices. Thank you, Corky. We have smooth voices, you and I.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not here to try to, be a radio personality with all the ups and downs and screaming and, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I could say, look, everybody, let's get real excited about what's going on in the world, but I don't.
No, you don't have that kind of blustery approach.
Blustery, that's it.
A lot of podcasters do. That seems to be especially those who want to talk about politics and want to sound like they are ranting and angry. You're not ranting and angry. You are very what's the word I'm looking for?
I think you're looking for cool. I think I'm
Cool. Well, that wasn't where I was going, but it's definitely true.
Enough about me. Let's talk about you.
No, that's not how it works. It's
enough
of me talking about me. How about you talk about me?
Well, let's talk about the topic for today, because
Iran.
I don't know to what extent people are paying attention to this. I know that President Trump and ex-President Obama had a conversation about aliens recently, and so now the latest scoop is that President Trump is going to reveal that we have visitors from other planets. At least that's what I read this morning.
Oh my! Now I had missed that completely.
Oh, there's lots of videos out there with the flying saucers, the coming out of, the ocean or coming out of volcanoes. They come out of volcanoes a lot. This flying saucers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see what Trump was releasing, but I did see that Obama said that he has never seen any evidence of aliens here on Earth.
I thought he told Trump that, that there are, but he hasn't seen them, or something like that.
What he said is that he's sure aliens exist,
Oh,
but he's never seen them. But he also said he doesn't think they exist here on Earth, that they're too far away. But when you consider the size of the universe and the galaxies and the distances, that certainly somewhere there has to be life.
okay. Well, that's his opinion.
Right.
It is the great mystery, isn't it? We look out on the night sky and we can see billions and billions of stars and billions of miles, and who knows? I mean, is it all just a great projection that we're being entertained with by some people pulling levers in some hidden place? Sometimes I think about
Whoa.
that. I think about that because of the Hubble telescope. There's a lot of connections to the Vatican when you go into these deep sky things, and when you saw in what 1910 or so, the Hubble images for the first time, all of a sudden, a little bitty tiny.
Whoa, what year?
About 1910, 1920, back in there.
And the Hubble was launched already in 1910?
Yeah.
Are we sure about this?
Well, I'm never really sure until I check the internet. So let's say year.
Do you mean 2010?
Hubble telescope.
But I think that was like.
The Hubble Space Telescope was launched on April 24th, 1990. That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's what I thought you were talking about.
I don't know what they call
I misunderstood.
Year Hubble took first deep space pics.
Well, now, while you're doing that, Corky says Hubble. Hope I said that right, Corky. The Watt scope scares cosmologists too much data. Now, I'm not sure what the Watt is. Do you know, John?
That's the James Watt telescope.
It's not James Webb?
Oh, maybe so.
The more recent one.
I don't know what's going on here. They're not letting me get back to the 1910, 1920 actual telescope. I think it was out near Los Angeles. So, I mean, we shouldn't be researching online. Well, people have ideas to talk about. But.
Well, that's true. And besides, we were going to talk about Iran, not the skies and not the universe and not aliens.
Tell us about the Watt telescope, Corky. I don't think I have it. Oh, he does mean the Webb. Okay.
Okay.
So we're all right.
The Ritchie-Chrétien telescope was invented in the early 1910s.
That might be it.
Okay.
And Edward Hubble was a scientist that took the photographs through that telescope.
Okay.
And that's why they named the new one about Hubble. But maybe maybe the reason that I can't find this is because they're trying to cover it up. They want us to think that we didn't see anything before, 1995. But Hubble saw all this stuff back in the 1910s and 20s.
No, not Hubble. Ritchie-Chrétien. Oh, you mean Hubble
is the name
person,
of a name of a very
Hubble.
important astronomer whose name was used to name the Hubble telescope. But the reason that it's called the Hubble telescope is that Edwin Hubble was a very important astronomer, and that's how they name things.
Okay. So you're referring to Edwin Hubble and not the telescope when you said Hubble saw stuff. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
That's what I was trying to do.
Corky says the microscope was seen as unneeded when it came out. Okay. Actually, he says, come on, caffeine, kick in. The microscope was seen as unneeded when it came out. So anyway, back to Iran.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the Hubble. I might be completely wrong, but that's just my recollection was that he was working, back in the earlier 20th century.
Okay, that's fine.
So the thing about Iran is that this is all has to do with Israel, because Israel is afraid
Indeed.
that Iran is going to conquer Israel. And is that a realistic fear, or are they just using that in order to promote the military-industrial complex so that they can build more planes and blow things up again?
Well, my guess is it's a little bit of both. You're both right. And I find it very, very ironic when Israel and Netanyahu specifically says we can't allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons and to have enriched uranium when they lied to the United States 70 years ago and did it themselves. So really what he's saying is we can't allow Iran to do what we did.
Right, because we're always right.
Right, we're Israel.
And, that's all just so complicated because, I can trace Israel back to London and the Rothschilds and the whole, Balfour Declaration. And people don't see that anymore. They think it's the Jews or the Zionists. But what's behind the Zionists? And that's where I think, reading people like John Loftus's books, The Secret War Against the Jews, which I've done on the show, is very important. And to back off and think about where the real money is and where the real money came from. Right now, I can't distinguish between the British aristocracy as a whole and the Rothschilds and their people like Lazard Frere and others that are connected to the Rothschilds, or actually a combination of the both.
Right. And that's my thinking, that they've acted in unison. I mean, even to this day, the Rothschilds control the money of the royals, and they are the ones that handle the royals' finances. They are very, very intertwined.
Indeed.
Well, Banjo Loon is here.
Speaking Spanish.
Saying hola, hola, Banjo Loon.
Yeah. How are you, Banjo? Good to see you.
And estoy late. Tarde, sí.
Corky's making reference to a book that I reviewed on my show.
How England created communism and blamed the Jews. I remember that.
That's not the right title, though.
Oh, what's the right title?
How the British, here it is. Look.
Okay.
How the British invented communism and blamed it on the Jews, by Richard Poe. And I think, I think it's a great book. It puts together a lot of things that have been learned previously, especially from the LaRouche organization and the executive and intelligence review articles that I've read on the show. So, I got in touch with Richard when he published this, and I started reading it in the way I do with readings and comments, but he objected. He said, no, he didn't want me to read it because,
that's the one. Okay.
He could do, he could do an audiobook. And I could say, well, look, I'm not doing an audiobook. I'm just reading Parsons and commenting, but, I respect the author and appreciate what he did. And so I haven't even mentioned it since, but you're right, Corky. I think it's a very important book. How the British invented communism and blamed it on the Jews.
And what's I guess I was going to say, can you summarize the book in a couple of sentences? But I suppose if you could, then it wouldn't be a book. So never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes back to like Lord Palmerston and the early 19th century British foreign policy, and so they wanted to have that base in the Middle East, which is now called Southwest Asia, and that's how they brought up Zionism and pumped it all up so that they could get some colonists to go down there. It's a horrible story of what happened to the native people there and still is happening. And,
Right.
that it keeps going on and the world community allows it is one of the things that's just the most depressing things, It's very depressing to know that, Gaza happened, in the past 2 years, the destruction, and that we didn't stop it. How could a world exist that allows that to happen and a powerful country like us or even Europe couldn't stop it? And that's because it is part of the policy of whoever really is running things, and that goes back before the creation of Israel to the British Empire
Mm-hmm.
and those that financed it.
We also have used over the years. We have smeared, and I'm specifically using that word smear, Muslims and Arabs and Islam, so that we are suggesting that all Arabs or all Muslims are terrorists, and that the two, Arab terrorist is redundant. And I think, even to this day, I mean, there was just recently some congressman or senator, and I can't remember who he is. I think he's from Florida, who even like this past weekend said in his X feed that dogs are better than Muslims.
Oh, and that went all over X.
Yeah, but that's the attitude we have towards Muslims in this
but
country.
it goes beyond that. Behind that was a statement by some Muslim leader that said that dogs are inconsistent with Islam or something like that.
Okay.
So it's
right, yeah.
So it's a fair comment, really.
No, it's not.
I rather. All right, it's not a fair comment, but I can see that it wasn't unfounded.
Well, it was not out of the blue. It was not out of left field. It was in response to something. But my point is that for decades and decades and decades, we have suggested that all Arabs are terrorists, all Muslims are terrorists, and the Muslim religion is somehow associated with the devil and bad. And I mean, we have disparaged Muslims a lot.
When you say we, I don't include myself in that we.
No, nor do I include myself. I mean,
so,
the rhetoric in this country.
There are people who speak that way, but
Yes.
I think there are an awful lot more people that disagree with that, but just don't say it.
And just don't say it exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they allowed it, and that's so. But again, not speaking up is to participate.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes ignoring things can also be effective. You can find something awful in just about any religion, I think, and if you dig hard enough, and that's been done. It's been done to Judaism, and it's been done.
Yes,
to
and it's been done to Christianity.
Yeah,
and the Catholics and the Protestants have had their conflicts and disagreements, and those are both Christian religions. So yeah, I mean, we have taught a lot of hate in the name of God. So what do you think is going to happen with Iran?
I think it's another bluff. I think it's another bluff. I mean, he might send some go and bomb some quote unquote nuclear facilities again. But I don't think that we could handle the closing of the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
If we got real serious, and they close the Strait of Hormuz, then our economy goes cuckoo, and we start having, serious problems with everything.
Mm-hmm. Although, we've just, well, the economy is kooky anyway. And now, just this morning, the Supreme Court said that Trump's tariffs are illegal. So now what's that going to do to the economy? Like, a little bit of a whiplash.
Right. And that's another story to talk about. It's a fairly new story, but it's a big deal that the Supreme Court, 5-3, said, was it? Yeah, something like 5-3
Mm-hmm.
against the president. No, and now he's going to give the money back to the companies that paid the tariffs.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
I had to stop and think about
Yeah,
that.
so that'll be more money for the companies, which will be good for the stock market. Are the companies going to pass the savings back to the consumers?
Oh, my head hurts.
No.
No, they're not going to.
No.
They're going to keep it for themselves.
Going to put it in.
They're going to put it and give it to the stockholders.
Yeah.
They're all going to buy new yachts and new expensive cars and third and fourth and fifth homes.
Let's take some comments.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna highlight this one from Road Warrior, who says, "My mother was in Poland during part of World War II when it was occupied." I don't know how to pronounce this community.
I'll guess it. Lutch. It's a city.
Okay. She realized 40 years ago that the Palestinians are the modern day version of the Jews living in the ghettos. I mean, it's exactly that. And why is it that Israel is allowed to do this, to treat the Palestinians the way they have and not see that it's the modern day version of the ghettos that they created in Poland?
They have just created this mystique about Zionism that, they have a deed from God that says this is your land, and those other people there, well, might not in the Bible, but in the Talmud, it talks about non-believers and how really expendable they are. So if you have a bunch of non-believers that are in the middle, occupying land that God gave you, and if you're getting paid real well to exterminate that population, then you kind of adopt your ethics to the situation and take the money. I can't see it, but I think that's what happens.
Huffman Aviation says most cults and secret societies are a result of the current authorities clamping down on the unfavorable religions. What an interesting comment, because of course my first thought is, what are the unfavorable religions and what makes them unfavorable? And I think very often it has to do with the treatment of non-believers.
Unfavorable to whom?
Right.
Unfavorable to the powers that be. I can see Christianity as being unfavorable to people that like to amass wealth, because Christianity says, give your wealth away and follow Jesus. It's kind of threatening if you're a mega millionaire, billionaire.
Right. Right. How have so many Christians, especially the evangelicals, gotten around that one?
They've had a lot of help from, psychological manipulation of language and words and things. The Schofield Bible has been a big help. The idea that Zionism is not only for Jews, it's also for Christians. You've got to support this this crazy Zionist thing to be a good Christian. That was all promoted in the 19th century and the 20th century, and it's still there. And there's people like Lindsey Graham that go over there and wail at the wall, and people, the reverends, the big money reverends that are on TV all the time or have been. That's all part of it. It's all financed. And it's a psychological operation to convince Christians that the Jews are entitled to do whatever they need to do in order to own this real estate that God gave them.
Huffman Aviation says exactly. It depends on the authorities at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Brightmore says, ask the Olympic planners which religions are unfavorable. Again, the Olympics began with a satanic ceremony replete with a burning pentagram.
That's interesting, Marcia, because you didn't see that.
I didn't.
But I did.
Ah.
And they did. And that image, it was projected inside the Arc de Triomphe. Maybe one of those arcs in Rome, but it was projected through one of the old victory arcs, right?
Okay.
And it had
Is there one in Milan?
Oh, Milan. I don't know.
Okay.
But you're right. It's a good question. Anyway, what I saw was a victory arch, and then it had this red, pentagram with the point star, the top of it pointed down, and red flames all around it. That's satanic. That absolutely is satanic, and that kind of thing is what's reinforcing the thinking that I was talking about just a moment ago. That there's a lot of this Frankism, which Bill Taylor talks about a lot. It's the idea is that Satan rules the world, and so you want to be successful, worship Satan.
Oh my!
Yeah, sorry to tell you that.
No. Okay, I'm looking at AI on Google. Faced social media backlash over a performance segment that viewers interpreted as burning inverted pentagram, sparking claims of satanic imagery. Interesting. No, I didn't see that. Of course, I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched part of it, and the part that I watched I thought was pretty tame.
Well, they had Cecilia Bartoli singing the Olympic anthem, and that was a highlight. She's one of my favorite singers.
I'm not sure if I saw that or not, because I also turned it off, and then after I turned it off was the performance of Nessun Dorma, and the singer whose name is just not coming to me.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Andre Bocelli.
Yes, Bocelli, thank you. Yes, singing Nessun Dorma, which is just so beautiful. Brightmore says, speaking of this ark, Trump's desire to build an Arc de Triomphe is obscene.
The Arc de Trump. Yeah. Have you seen the mock-ups of it?
I have, yeah.
They're going to put it right there on the mall. No.
What I didn't realize is they're putting it on Memorial Drive near Arlington Cemetery, and some veterans have now sued.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, okay, so it's in Virginia then.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah. But it's within view of the Lincoln Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
And the suit is that, it blocks the view.
Is this just ego? I mean, putting his name on the Kennedy Center. I could see, if he reveals what happened to JFK, then if it turns out that he really was best buddies with JFK Jr., if it turns out that he really is on the warpath to reveal who killed JFK and who killed JFK Jr., then I'd give him his Arc of Triumph. But he hasn't produced anything. As a matter of fact, he's just kind of letting the system, as usual, police itself.
Right.
And, here's your 3 million pages. Now shut up. You don't get any more.
And complain about the fact that we keep asking about it when there's so many other things to talk about.
Yeah, like Jeffrey Epstein.
No, that's what I'm talking about. That's what
Yeah.
he complains about. Yeah, a golden arch. That's funny, Huffman Aviation. And I wouldn't be surprised he loves to gild and everything in gold as well. But yeah, him putting his name on everything is so offensive, very offensive. And this comment I don't quite get, Corky. I find it interesting as all memorial builds say more than they say. Let her rip. Okay. Not sure what that. What that means.
I want to take this one from Brightmore, if you don't mind, honey. Oh, you got one.
No, is that the one?
Nope.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Whichever one it is.
FDA reverses course, agrees to review Moderna's flu vaccine. Has become a legal battle over the mRNA jabs for humans. Maybe there's hope that the courts, or the FDA will actually ban these mRNA jabs. It's kind of late. I mean, if you study it the way I do, it looks like the damage has been done, and people are going to be suffering increasingly in the future just because they took the jabs. But
well, I thought the reversal indicated an endorsement of mRNA because initially they were saying we're not even going to review it because it's not worth reviewing. And then they changed their mind and said, okay, we'll take a look at it as a possible thing. So I'm a little lost there.
NPR says the Food and Drug Administration rattled the biotech industry last week when it said it wouldn't even look at Moderna's application to market the first mRNA flu shot. Okay. But on Wednesday, the agency reversed course and told Moderna it would review the application with some changes. There.
So do you think that is pro or con mRNA?
I think that some lobbyists first of all, it was anti. It was saying, no,
Right.
we're not going to even consider it. And then some lobbyists came along and convinced them, oh, just tweak this a little bit. It'll be all right. But yeah, I must have had the story wrong at the beginning. Corky says, hey, Key Jason, no high-speed rail in America because it has been deemed illegal. Oh.
Illegal in what way? That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I'd like to know more about that. That's something I'll look into.
I do want to post Huffman's plug for Carol Quickly's books, Anglo-American Establishment. I have that. I have not read it book cover to cover, but I use it as a reference. I don't have Tragedy and Hope. It's the thick one. The later one, Anglo-American Establishment, does tell the story pretty well.
The story of what?
The story of the kind of secret government that exists between London and Wall Street and
Okay.
Washington that, runs things from behind the scenes and creates all of these horrible policies we have to live with.
Well, all I can say is right now I am more impressed with those folks over there in England who are at least paying attention to the release of the Epstein papers and starting to take action, demand people's resignations, or even if you are a former royal, arresting people for wrongdoing. Although none of it has to do with the abuse of children, but it's at least they're doing something.
Well, that Virginia Giuffre case is at the heart of it, isn't it?
At the heart of what?
Of what the British are doing. I mean,
No, they're looking at the Epstein papers, the recent release, and finding more connections between some of their officials and forcing people to step down. No, this doesn't have anything to do with Virginia Giuffre. This is all the new release of papers.
Mandelson.
Yeah, well, Mandelson was before and after, but yeah, there was even more in that. Yes.
All right.
And definitely the Andrew, formerly known as Prince. But again, what he is being arrested for has nothing to do with what he did to and with Virginia Giuffre. That was set when she sued him. That got settled out of court, even though he denies any wrongdoing.
Shall we let Banjo crow about the Seattle Seahawks?
That's fine. Go right ahead. I didn't see that.
We tried to watch that and I got bored with it.
You fell asleep. I
Yeah.
think I watched it to the end. I'm pretty sure I watched it to the end.
Here's Key Jason with an answer to why would it be illegal? Because it competes with air travel industry. I think that makes sense.
It does. I get so frustrated with all of these things that we do here in this country for the benefit of corporations and for the benefit of corporate profits to the detriment of the people. And why the people don't see that just makes me crazy. People act like that's normal and okay. It's not. And if high-speed rail were efficient and available and affordable, wouldn't it benefit the public so much? But heaven forbid that we should benefit the public and harm the airlines who are I don't want to go anywhere because the last few times we have flown, it's just such a horrible experience trying to get on an airplane and being on an airplane, and you're treated like sheep that are being herded by border collies.
And you have to breathe the air that has the
Oh my
exhaust
God.
in it, and
or be crammed in with with people all around you, whether it's at the gate or waiting in line or lining up in those stupid air tunnels that you get into to skyway in the skyways, and then definitely on the planes, and you're touching all of these nasty dirty surfaces. And I was reading this morning that the norovirus can live for days on surfaces. I had no idea. For days. Ugh.
I haven't even heard of the norovirus.
Am I saying it wrong?
No, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
What is it?
Norovirus. Hang on a second. Let me get it better. Norovirus, also known as Norwalk virus, and sometimes referred to as the winter vomiting disease, is the most common cause of gastroenteritis. Infection is characterized by Diarrhea, vomiting, and stomach pain. Fever or headaches may also occur.
So is it a thing now? Is it
It's an intestinal bug. It's been around forever.
okay? But all of a sudden, we now have to talk about it.
Well, I don't know if we have to talk about it, but I just happened to read this morning that it can live on surfaces for a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm sure if that virus can, I'm sure there are other viruses that can.
Well, when you say that, I start thinking, well, they probably engineered it so that it would do that.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
That's the hardest thing, is that what we discover at McDuff Lives are indications that there's powers out there that want us dead, that don't like humanity to be, go forth and multiply, but in fact, to take some medicine that makes you unable to multiply, to,
Well, they want to keep us sick.
not have a
Sick and
family.
dying and dealing with chronic disease and,
Yeah.
disabled. Because again, as you and Adam have talked about even as recently as yesterday, if you have some kind of pathogenic, and I hope I'm saying that right, agent that immediately kills, then it's obvious. But if you have something that slowly kills and incapacitates you along the way, then it's not obvious what's happening.
And people don't want to believe it. They just don't want to believe it. They want to believe in the lab coats, the white coats, and the doctors, and the system that takes care of us.
Brightmore says, "Let's go on a cruise." Exactly. Can you imagine the germs on cruise ships?
Oh, I want to go. I'm ready. We have friends on the island that right now are somewhere between Houston, Texas, and where
Europe somewhere.
in Spain. No, they're going to Seville. They're going to like Spain.
Is that where they're sailing to? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that they're going to end up in Spain, but I wasn't clear where they were sailing to. But 15 days on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Crossing the Atlantic. Though I can't imagine 15. Maybe they cross and then they visit a variety of ports. I think that must be what it is.
Anyway, I'd like to do it. I would go.
You would?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't. I've been on cruise ships many times over the years. And when I first went on cruises 100 years ago with my grandmother, it was wonderful. It was being at sea was like being at sea. But then the last cruise that I went on, which was in 2000, I went with my sisters and mother. Being at sea was like being inside a building.
Yeah.
And you could never go outside. The outside areas were very, very limited. And even the outside areas had plexiglass walls on either side. So like you're at the pool, you still have plexiglass walls. So you just can't sit there on the railing like you see in the old movies. Like what's that wonderful?
Yeah, I want to cross on the Queen Mary or the United States.
You can sit in a wonderful lounge chair and have the ocean breeze blowing on you. And even if it's cold, they come and put a blanket on you. No, that's not what it is anymore.
All right.
They put up these horrible walls so that you don't get a breeze on you. And then they pipe in music everywhere. One point I got up in the morning and I wanted to journal about the trip. And so I wanted to go find a lovely, quiet place with the ocean blowing and the ocean, the wind blowing in my face and the smell of the ocean, and be able to write with just the sound of the waves. And all I could hear was piped in pop music. And there was nowhere where I could go and have a breeze on my face. It was and it was a Carnival ship. I will say that as far as I'm concerned. In fact, when we got off the ship, I said to my sister, we were in a bathroom at the airport. And everybody laughed because my sister and I were there. And I said, I think Carnival is the Kmart of cruise ships. And then some stranger goes, that would be giving Kmart a compliment. Anyway, so.
All right. I won't go.
Sorry.
I won't go on the cruise.
You know what? Your cousin and her husband, they love cruising, but they only cruise
Yeah.
on good quality ships.
Well,
So
that's what I
I
was
should
going to
not.
do. I wasn't going to
Yes,
go on Carnival.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not accusing you. I'm saying I should not judge cruise ships based on my experience on Carnival.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what this means, but Brightmore says the people on Carnival Cruise Lines were so at sea that new regulations were imposed on their customers. Mm-hmm. Okay, imposing regulations on your customers. Sheesh. All right, I'm going to stop that. We should go on a cruise someplace. I'd like to go on one of those little ships, like the yesterday on Jeopardy. No, Wheel of Fortune. Sorry. Somebody won a cruise on a very small ship to Alaska. That's what I'd like to do. I think something like that on a very small ship that's where you really get to explore and go kayaking in some bay in Alaska past glaciers. Wouldn't that be fabulous?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I'd like that.
In the summertime.
Yeah, in the summertime, absolutely.
Okay, we can do that.
Corky says, it is sailing. My sister races on sailboats as crew. How fun. I used to follow the America's Cup, and I used to love sail racing. Anyway, enough about that. Though we have kind of made a nice circle. We've talked about military vessels, and we've gone from military vessels to cruise ships.
Every time somebody says cruise ship, I think of Legionnaire's disease, and then there I go with like, I'm not going on a cruise ship because I don't want them to, spray stuff for their tests on me, which is, I think, what Legionnaire's was. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we're doing good. Adam let me know yesterday. Adam Finnegan, author of The Sleeper Agent, let me know that he is now number 43 on the Substack category of science writing.
Wow.
So he's moving up, and that's great.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, that, and that is something I wish I understood better what you and Adam were talking about yesterday with the biowarfare research that Epstein was funding. Virginia Giuffre, again, in her book, she talks about the fact that there were many scientists and academics in Jeffrey Epstein's circle. And those scientists and academics came to Florida, to his home in Florida, in Palm Beach. They went to the island. They came to his townhouse in Manhattan, and they were involved in the sexual activities that went on. She doesn't name any of them, but she says they were there and that he was very engaged with financing research. But, she had no idea, I'm sure, of what kind of research and what the nature was. And so to learn from Adam that so much of this had to do with biowarfare is just horrifying. And it makes me wonder, what was Epstein, why was he so interested in this? And why was he making these connections with these scientists who were developing horrible things?
Just to take a stab at trying to answer that, what I think my picture of Epstein is he's the money manager for Wexner. And, he took over from Wexner, which was, the money laundering king of the world. The huge empire of Les Wexner, so much money, they need to make investments. Where are you going to park it? And this is where, when you see a national security establishment saying, we need to develop bioweapons. Well, you come along and you say, okay, show me the scientist that's going to do it. you get the scientists, they get them on board, you get them to sign a non-disclosure agreement and go down to the island and have a nice, party with some attractive, very young girls, and then you get your deal. And it has nothing to do with the question of whether this might actually end humanity as it now exists. They don't think about that. They think about how can I make money with this idea. If we change this gene, then people won't be able to fight cancer. Oh, well, that would be a good weapon against the bad guys. So maybe we should have some of that, because of course the bad guys are going to try to develop it because they're bad. So since they're going to do it, we can assume they're going to do it, because once they figure out it can be done and them being evil, they're going to do it. So we had better do it first so that we could have it, as a threat, but also as to study it and say, okay, now how can we make a vaccine for it? And in the course of doing all that stuff, if you can get, that government approval and participation in the financing, that's what's going on. And, Adam has shown that this has been going on for over 100 years. And the Rockefeller Medicine Project is definitely a key to it. I also saw that he was financed by J.P. Morgan, which again brings that all back into that British American uh, power center that's described by Carol Quigley.
Right. And Les Wexner went before Congress this week and said that he was not involved in any wrongdoing and had no idea what Epstein was up to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In Columbus, Ohio, as Brightmore is calling attention to. Oops, you got it?
Yep. Wexner does not want attention on his sprawling property near Columbus. Yeah, Wexner is definitely. I mean, Harley talked about his piece on following the money with Epstein, and then the New York Times did a really amazing piece as well that follows the money that got Epstein from being a school teacher at the Dalton School in New York to where he was at, the end of his life, and how he built up the fortune that he built up. And Wexner plays a huge role in that in both pieces.
And he was basically money laundering the money for through BCCI for the guns for arms for hostages deal in the Reagan administration. And that's where he got his big money start, working with Khashoggi. So, and I'll just say something, just a global observation, that the United States is a place for honest people, the people that obey the golden rule. The Constitution is written in such a way that people who are assumed to be honest and to be observers of not to do something to somebody that you wouldn't want them to do to you. And the framework of it, is beautiful, with the separation of powers and the idea that this is going to be a republic based upon the consent of the people, the consent of the governed. That idea is still what we're taught in school. That's what we are supposed to be. But the empire insinuates its way in through criminal activity. And the Bronfmans is the big example. And I did a couple of shows with David Kramer Underdown on the Bronfman family. But you see that the Bronfmans got started from bootlegging. And now, through APAC and through their enormous wealth and political contributions, they're completely legitimate. They're legitimate people. Okay. But all that money was amassed. And when you have that a huge amount of capital together, then you can do things that benefit the empire
Mm-hmm.
to the detriment of the common people.
Right.
So we, the common people, are getting betrayed by a really clever, stealthy ruse, and that is to make it look like, oh, well, those are just criminals. Oh, those are just, that's Meyer Lansky. He's a criminal, let him go to jail and the whole thing's over. Epstein, he's a criminal, he's dead now. It's over. Nobody goes back and looks into the connection back to the aristocracy of Britain and the the robber barons of Wall Street.
Right.
And that is the method that I see over and over again that undermines our country is in the mafia. We didn't have to have a mafia. Why did we have a mafia? Well, if you read Dope Inc., it was created in New Orleans, importing the Sicilians as strike busters and controllers of the elections. So who did it? The British did it. And that insinuation of a mafia into what otherwise could have been an honest, civil country has taken over everything. So that I think I said a couple of days ago that the bad money, the money laundering money, is bigger than the honest money in our economy now.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on because Britain provides these tax havens like the Cayman Islands, where you can do whatever you want. You can hide the money. You can invest in arms for weapons deals. You can invest in trafficking. You can invest in dope. They don't regulate it. So now we have a world in which more and more of the world is owned by criminal organizations and the oligarchs, that are at the top of them.
It's interesting. You and I were talking this morning are they maniacs or lunatics?
Yeah.
And Jonathan Edward Gibson says, the system is designed to attract and promote sociopaths. And actually, that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
They are sociopaths because they are incapable of recognizing the hurt and damage and destruction that they do to other human beings. They don't think that matters, and they don't think it's important, and they don't even see them as other human beings. They are sociopaths. Road Warrior says, Jefferson's worst fears have come to pass. The takeover by a moneyed elite, concentrating wealth, controlling the currency, and corrupting democratic process. Absolutely. That's it exactly.
And thank you for mentioning Thomas Jefferson, because the country was founded as a compromise in order to defeat a greater evil, and that is the empire, the British Empire.
Mm-hmm.
But that compromise involved people as different as Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. John Adams was basically happy with an aristocracy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Whereas Thomas Jefferson was all about the rights of man and the Freemasonic creed and the idea of liberty, and that's what drove the Southerner patriots. Patrick Henry, of course, give me liberty or give me death.
Right.
And of course, that was a flawed approach, because at that time, their wealth and their status depended upon enslaved people working in their plantations.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, the country came together with hopes for humanity that didn't exist before. Hopes that we could all feel like we're living in a free country.
Right.
Nobody ever lived in a free country before. You know, if you lived in England, you know, before the revolution and even today, you know, but you know, England being the best, but any monarchy, the king owns you. You know, if he
Sure.
sends the soldiers out to get rid of you, they're going to go out and cut your throat, because that was life for everybody in the entire world, in the history of the world, until the American Revolution and until the institution of our Constitution and our constitutional government. And yeah, they put sociopaths in the positions of power so that they can create chaos and destroy this amazing experiment, and make sure it devolves back into that feeling of serfdom that you experience on an airplane.
I want to live in the world, in the country that our founding fathers envisioned and that I was taught exists when I was in school, because I've since learned it doesn't exist. And that's very sad. I want it to exist. Corky gets the last word, I think. Whoops. Go, John, go, which is another way of saying well said.
Little country boy lived in a cabin made of earth and wood, and his name was Johnny B. Good. He carried his guitar in a gunny sack, and there was all kinds of other details to that song, but I don't remember them right now. But thank you very much, Corky. And yeah, sometimes I just feel like I want to wrap my arms around the whole big picture and say, this is the way it looks to me right now, you know, February 20th, 2026. It could change tomorrow, but that's the way I see it right now.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that nothing happens
Yeah.
scary over there in the Southwest Asia.
Southwest Asia. Peace is the only way forward, guys. And I hope President Trump is really keeping that in mind, bluffing as I hope he is. All right, we're out of time. Thank you all very, very much for joining us this morning. I'll see you back Monday.